Oh, yay, I'm live. I have to add Kiara, I believe. I don't feel like doing makeup today, y'all. Don't judge me. Today was a long day. I'm excited about this live, y'all. This is really a great live for any, because we all have friendships, right? We're all navigating our friendships, figuring life out. I mean, it's happening. Hey, Kiara. Let's see. Request to join. Hmm? Yay! Hey, Kiara.
Hey girl, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Trying to whip this tea up real quick.
Listen. I had to get myself together before I got on the live too. It was like I have so much stuff to do prior. Let me get my life together
I
before.
know.
But yes, how's the week been? I just saw you on Monday.
Uh-oh, there we go. Oh no, it's been pretty good. What has been going on? Oh, I'm back in Virginia Beach.
Yes,
Um,
right.
hmm But the week has been, it's actually been going by quicker. I don't know. I feel like going there for the weekend and coming back on Monday, I was like,
Hmm.
oh, we're at Tuesday already. We're at Wednesday. The week is
Right.
almost over.
Right. We really have. I was thinking about that yesterday or today actually. I was like, wow, I have a lot of stuff to do. Like I kind of didn't take advantage of this week because it flew by so fast. And I was like,
hmm
wait, it's already about to be Thursday? How did that happen?
I know. I know.
Mhm. But yes, I'm so excited about this live. I am
Me
so
too.
excited. Because I mean, the purpose really was friendship is an ongoing topic in women's lives, right? We're always
It
going to
is.
have them. We're always going to be cultivating new ones. We're always going to be nursing old ones.
hmm
And so it's just really important for us to navigate them in a healthy way, right? They're
Exactly.
such a big part of our lives outside of like our family relationships and, business partners, romantic relationships. This is really the
hmm
hub of a lot for us.
Life, literally, like
Yeah, like
life, our
like seriously.
livelihood, how we
Right,
relate to people.
right. So yes, so the purpose of this was really just for us to figure out how to navigate healthy friendships and make sure that we're in healthy friendships, right?
hmm Exactly.
So
Oh,
kind
wait,
of
real
start
quick
off.
though. Are you gonna record this?
Actually, does it automatically record or do I have to record it?
So
I
I'm
do I have
not
to press
sure
record?
because so I haven't actually done a live myself in a long time, but I
Hmm.
feel like when I did a live with someone, it was recording. That's what I feel like.
Let
But
me check.
she did it, so she would have had to do it on her end. Unless
I'm going
maybe
to
it
press
is
the
a screen
camera.
record. I don't know.
No. Okay. No, that just turns my camera off. So I'm going to assume that it automatically records and then we'll save it because Miss Christie really, really, really wanted to see it. And she did. She was like, I'm not going to join Instagram. But I would, if you could send it to me. And so I would love to do that. So
Okay. Sounds good.
we'll try.
Well, that might be it. Maybe it's that you just downloaded after the fact. Maybe that's
Right.
it.
I'm hoping so.
I
I'm
don't
hoping
know.
so. Hey, everybody that is joining. Welcome, welcome,
I
welcome. We were kind of
know.
just chatting in general, but kind of talking about the purpose of the live.
Hmm.
And, friendship being the hub of everything in our lives, how important it is, how we cultivate new ones, nurse old ones. And it really is just a major part of our lives. And so we want to make sure that we are having maintaining healthy friendships and building new healthy friendships, right? And so
Absolutely.
now that we have more people joining, right, we're going to kind of get started in what is friendship, right? Kind of like the
Mhm.
baseline of this. What is friendship? Because the word is thrown around really loosely. We use it a lot, but nobody has actually ever said like, okay, well, this is what a friend is specifically,
Mhm.
right? I guess we all have our different definitions, but what is like kind of like a baseline definition of friendship?
Yeah, so just real quick, I'll just like introduce myself for
Right.
anybody like that doesn't. We'll
That
we'll
doesn't
do
know you, right?
introductions first,
Right.
and then
Right.
we'll go into answering some questions. So for people who don't know me, I'm Kiara Hartwell. I am a licensed therapist in Virginia and Maryland. I actually just recently relocated from the DMV area to the Hampton Roads area in Virginia. But have experience working with a lot of different, issues. So here we are wanting to talk about friendship because it is very important in our lives and how mental health can potentially impact that. And yeah, and this is Kayla, and we used to work together.
Yes, yes, yes. So Kiara and I used to work together. Kiara was a therapist at a school that we were both working at, which is affiliated with a mental health system. And so Kiara has a lot of experience with a lot of different populations, kids, private practice. And so she is definitely a go to in terms of mental health and just learning new things and really trying to get on a good foot with bettering your mental health. And she has really great content. Please go follow her if you can, KJ Hartwell. She has really digestible and concise content that are really take you from point A to point B. You won't have to worry in between. I really do love that about your content, Kiara. It's just
Thank
like,
you.
this is the purpose of what you're doing. Because I'm a why person. Don't tell
Hmm.
me to do something and not tell me, what the point of this is, like, how we're going to
Hmm.
get from here to here. So I really do appreciate your content
Thank
and love
you.
reposting it. So please, people, go
Thank
follow
you.
her.
And
Yes,
yours
yes,
too.
yes. Thank you so very much.
All right. So also, just a heads up, so this won't be, or it's not intended to be a one-time session. We do plan to make it a series. So for today, we want to really focus on kind of the basics, what Kayla just said, what even is friendship, because we all are going to have different definitions and different perspectives on it. So we'll talk about what the basics are of friendship, what is friendship, what are different categories of friendships, how do you appropriately or how do we appropriately categorize our friendships, why should we categorize them, and some common misconceptions that we might have about friendships. And I think that'll be a good baseline to start with, and that way we can dive more and deeper in other sessions about, attachment styles and how do our attachment styles impact our friendships, and looking at different mental health issues like anxiety that may impact our friendships and other things like that. But we do want to make this a little interactive. So if you guys have any questions or comments about anything that we've said, please feel free to write them in the comments section. And if we have enough time, then we will try to maybe have one of you guys join and, we'll answer and give our perspective and go from there. I think I think that's about it.
I actually had, I want to say like one or two questions already, just from
Mhm.
when I posted some things earlier. Some people did have a couple of questions, so I'll definitely kind of
Okay.
throw those in there after we're done going through the, important things, the main
Hmm.
content of, the live, right?
Sounds good.
So we are going to get started with what even is friendship, right? What is
Right.
friendship?
Yeah. So, from my perspective, friendship is, definitely a reciprocal relationship. First and foremost, it's a reciprocal relationship where we're able to trust each other. We're able to maintain some type of loyalty. We're able to stand up for our friends. We're able to we don't even have to share common interests, but have a mutual understanding of each other and wanting to grow from each other. Also, not looking as one person as the leader or a follower, like it should be a partnership, much like a relationship. I mean, any kind of relationship, romantic friendship, the basis is it's a partnership. So one person shouldn't necessarily be above the other person. You want to have like a mutual ground. Other than that, I think that those are the basics of friendship. You want to make sure you like each other.
Right?
That's important. You don't want to. Sorry, guys, this is my dog.
Hi,
You
Olivia.
no. But those are really, the basic and important characteristics of friendship. Reciprocity. You don't want it to feel like you're putting in so much work and then the other person isn't. Because that is an equal friendship. And of course, you're gonna have times where one friend might be going through a little bit more, so there will be a little bit more support given during that time, but it shouldn't be like that all the time. So I'm wondering what you guys in the comments, like, what do you think about that definition of friendships? Do you resonate with it, or do you have other?
Oh, we were coming back. It kind of started loading. But I know that the question was, if you
Oh,
guys in
okay.
the comments have any different kind of definitions of friendships or anything that we didn't say, what do you think? Because I know in the past I thought that friendship was something where it's like, oh, we have to have things in common, or like the same kind of
Mhm.
movies and like the same kind of clothing and like the same kind of whatever, and as I've grown, I'm like,
Mhm.
common interests are definitely important, but definitely not as prevalent as they used to be. I realize how, complex people are. So
Mhm.
it's kind of late or later on you kind of figure that out. Like, okay, well, we
Mhm.
are complex and maybe we did have those things on surface in common, and now it's like, oh, we
Mhm.
are quite different and we still love each other and love our differences. So
Exactly. Hey, Amina. So you just said you just joined, so you were a little late to chime in. That's okay. So basically, we kind of introduced ourselves and we were basically going over what, the basics of friendship are. And I was saying how reciprocity is important, liking the person is important, being able to look at it as a partnership versus one person being a leader or a follower, standing up for your friends, and think being loyal and being respectful. So you added open communication, and I think that is absolutely important. Communication is definitely, you know, key to any long lasting and healthy relationship. So thank you for that contribution. Anything else that anyone wants to add?
you know what? I think open communication was a really important one,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes, friends go through things, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
any relationship will. And it's important to let your friend know if something has bothered you or if they're doing something and you love that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's important. And I think that we kind of have the expectation that our friends are supposed to know us so well that they're supposed to read our minds. And
It's
that's kind of not fair. That's
it's
not fair
not.
at all. So,
And honestly, that is a work in progress, because we would like to think that people know us so well that
right.
they should be able to read our minds, but it's really unrealistic. So
Mhm. It
you're
is. And I mean,
absolutely
we
correct.
change. We
We
change. I
do.
mean, friends that I've had for 10 plus years, I mean, expectations that I had maybe 10 years ago, I don't have the same expectations now. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
those things change. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. We change, we grow. Sometimes we outgrow friendships
mhm,
and relationships, and that's okay too. And sometimes
mhm.
people don't grow with us, but that doesn't mean that we can't necessarily revisit that friendship at a later time in hopes that the other party may have grown a little bit more too. So,
Right.
we're always evolving.
Right, right. Which is a good thing. Which is a good thing.
Hmm. It's actually funny because, or not funny, funny, haha, but ironic because one of my clients, we were talking today, and they have a friend group, and I think it's three or four of them, and to kind of keep their friendship, open, they have, I don't know if you guys have heard of Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but I don't think
Yes.
I actually looked at the movie, but I'm familiar with it. So essentially, they have a journal and they pass it, I think you get it for 2 weeks and you write kind of whatever's on your mind. It could be about the friendship, it could be about heavy life stuff, or it doesn't have to be, but they get the journal for 2 weeks. They have 2 weeks to write in it. They can respond to each other's journal entries, and then they pass it on either through the mail or they meet up and, give it to the next person. And it's a really neat thing. And I thought that was
Yeah.
amazing.
That is actually, I never thought about that or considered something like that. And I know
Mm-hmm.
previously I've seen, like, in different therapy techniques that some parents, like, they have their child do that if they have, they don't know how to express themselves. I
Mm-hmm.
recently seen this on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken, and she let her daughter draw pictures of how she feels.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they talk about it, like, and I'm like, wow, that's incredible. So,
Yeah,
like, writing is definitely a form of, communication, and that's
it
so
is.
cool. That's so cool because the reality is we really don't have time at this in our adult lives, and not everybody. Of course, you make time, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't really have as much time as we. So, like, that's really intentional and really cool. So, yeah. And so,
Mm-hmm.
what are,
And I
like,
think it's great to get away from the texting for sure.
yes. I mean, because we do that, but that, how many times I've misread text messages? Like, the tone or diction is just not there. And you're like, whoa, like, what was this? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
happened? What happened here? And that, sometimes you don't have time to talk on the phone. You don't have time for FaceTime. And so I think it is good to kind of get away from, those things. And technology in general. I think it's good to get away from it.
Exactly.
So, kind of moving on from, like, what is friendship, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, like, so we talked about what is friendship, right? And so we all have different kinds of friends, right? So can we kind of talk about the categories of friends and, like, kind of how to categorize your friends?
Yeah. So I think what comes to mind initially is okay, we've got a best friend, right? We've got a friend, we've got acquaintances. And I think those are the three that people usually categorize their friends into. And I think that's great. That's beneficial. What is a best friend? Like, who do you consider your best friend? Like, who is a friend? And then who's an acquaintance? For me personally, I think a best friend is someone that, hey, Esther. um, I would say that a best friend is definitely someone that you feel very closely aligned to, someone that, definitely exhibits what we confirmed as the basis of a friendship, but just someone that you feel you can be your authentic self with. Because I think that we get into friendships, and well, this might be like a whole nother topic because this is greater than friendships, but I think we're not necessarily our authentic selves, right? Do most of us even really know who we are outside of this avatar that we provide to people, based on our work, based on, the things that we like. And I think that's where some of the deeper work needs to go. But on the topic of friends, a best friend is someone that genuinely you should be able to feel like you can be your authentic self and not be able to hide parts of yourself. A friend would be someone that, has those qualities, but maybe they might serve a different purpose in your life. It's someone that, you know, you might spend time with here and there, but maybe not someone that you're going to communicate with all the time. And
Hey,
then,
Jasmine.
hey, Jasmine, um, and an acquaintance, you know, someone that you're cool with, you're casual with, but you're not going to, you probably will not be your most authentic self with them either, and you're going to have some limitations to that friendship. And it might be, maybe your acquaintance is someone where, okay, you see them out, you know, it's cool, hey, what's up, whatever. Maybe you guys will go get coffee, go get dinner here and there, but probably more of those conversations or more of those relationships are going to be more on the surface level. Your best friend relationships are going to be a little bit deeper, and your friendships will fall, your regular friends will fall somewhere in between. But as I've done more research and kind of, you know, been on the planet a little bit, you know, there are also different types of friends outside of that. So maybe you'll have like your wise mentor friend, you know, the friend that you can go to for, you know, advice, like real life advice, like real genuine life advice. You know, maybe you wouldn't go to your party girlfriend for that kind of advice because maybe that's just not the trajectory that they're on. And there's nothing wrong with that. But your friends are gonna serve different purposes, whether it's a best friend, whether it's a friend, or whether it's an acquaintance. So maybe you'll have your wise mentor friend. Who's that going to be? Maybe you'll just have your loyal best friend that's just, you know, always down for the cause, always there, you know, someone that can be honest with you and accept your flaws and everything like that. Maybe you'll have your adventurer friend. So this is probably the friend that is ready to go on any destination trip, or just literally down for any cause, and, you know, wants to explore and kind of step out of their comfort zone. And then if that's something that you're wanting to do, then that's the friend that you're going to hit up. Maybe you're not going to hit up your friend that's, you know, the introvert or the shy one that just wants to be the homebody. Again, nothing wrong with that. You know, and then perhaps you'll have your friends from a different culture, which is great because that means that you're expanding your own, or just someone different than you, and that gives you the opportunity to learn and grow as well. Maybe you'll have your friends who is into nutrition, right? So that's going to be your friend that you go to when you need help or want help with dieting, and not like dieting to
Yeah, like
just restrict or whatever, but, you know, dieting in the sense of healthy eating, healthy lifestyle. Maybe you'll have your spiritual friend. Your spiritual friend will be the person that you go to when maybe you want spiritual consultation or guidance. You're not going to go to your adventurer friend if they're not spiritual, right? So
right.
you'll have your work friend, you know, your people that you connect to at work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for us on this live, Jasmine, Esther, I don't know who else is
Yeah,
on here, but
right.
I just saw them recently. Who else? You'll have your honest friend. Who is the friend that you can go to? You can tell them a situation and they're gonna be honest with you and not placate or coddle you just to
Right.
give you what you want to hear. So these are all different types of friends that can also fall under, you know, the best friend, that can fall under the regular friend, or that can fall under the acquaintance. Right? All of these different categories or are gonna present itself, and you have the option to choose which one of your friends fall into that category.
Right. And you know what's interesting about that? I actually have different best friends for
Mm-hmm.
different things. Like I have a completely candid, truthful, she's not gonna cut no ties, she's not gonna say nothing that's gonna make you feel better. If you are
Yeah.
acting up, you're acting up and she's gonna let you know. I have a spiritual best friend.
Mm-hmm.
I have a best friend that is kind of my all, I guess, around best friend. She's not going to BS me either, or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. But you know, it's just like the my grounded best friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's so funny because you might have these three different people in like maybe the same role, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just serving different purposes, right?
Exactly.
So it's interesting because as you learn and grow, you kind of learn which friends are which and who resonates more with different things on that level.
Right. Yeah, I
And
agree.
so with, you know, knowing, I think we kind of really talked about, like, you know, with your definitions, how to appropriately categorize your friends.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really kind of folds into that. Like, okay, well, your party best friend, clearly you go to party with. Your adventurer best friends, you probably will call them for like destination travel or to go on a random hike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what in knowing what friends serve what purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Now what I want to get into with knowing what friends serve what purpose, because I think that you've already covered that as well. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like what to do when some friends are offended that maybe you don't come to them for certain
Mm-hmm.
things. Like, because you might come to certain friends for this, and another friend's like, oh, well, why didn't you ask me about that? Or why didn't you tell me about that? And, how to create healthy boundaries in terms of
Mm-hmm.
like, well, I wanted to share that with this person first and get their advice. And that's no offense to you. That
Right.
doesn't discredit my friendship with you. But
Mm-hmm.
just kind of navigating that.
Yeah, and I think it's really for the person that, so for the friend that isn't coming to that other friend about it, I think it's, again, that goes back to open communication, right? So, how do you relay that message so that you're not offensive? Well, the first thing is you can't really control whether or not that person is going to be offended because we all have our different life stories. We're all triggered. Based on certain things. So that, I mean, it's really out of our control. But what we can do is we can maybe share open and honestly, like maybe why we didn't feel comfortable going to that friend. Maybe that friend has a habit of providing unsolicited feedback, or maybe that friend has a habit of not providing constructive feedback. Or maybe the friend just doesn't respond. I mean, there could be a multitude of reasons as to why. Do we have background information on why, like, the person
I
doesn't, or
mean,
this is just a random question?
I want to say, you know, I want to say it's not really, it's just a random question. But I
Okay.
do think that, like, when we get into anxiety, I think
Mm-hmm.
that we'll cover that. Because there's
Yeah.
some people that kind of are just over, like, it's like, it was not meant to be something like you thought. It was just like I asked her just because she was on my
Mm-hmm.
mind and I like her advice on it. Like,
Right.
sometimes people, you can't come to me for this kind of thing. Um, so I think we'll really get into that when we kind of talk more about
Mm-hmm.
anxiety and how it impacts friendships.
Okay.
Um,
That makes sense.
and oh no, go
I
ahead.
think my video is lagging a little bit.
Yeah, I was waiting. I'm trying to wait. Like when I see the little round thing going, I'm trying to wait.
Got it.
But
Okay. But yeah, just, the basis is we're not going to be able to control whether or not someone is going to be offensive. But I do think that open and honest communication as to why we're not going to, or why we didn't feel comfortable, or why we didn't want to approach them about an issue, I think is the only way that we can be open and honest. And I think that part is important for sure.
and that's again, open communication is
Hmm.
extremely important in any relationship that you're going to have in general,
Yeah.
right? So the last thing I think, because I know we were trying to keep this to like 30 minutes for all of
Hmm.
my people who are like, our lives are ridiculous. Please spare me. Are what are some? Well, actually, no. Before we do that, I want to get into a. No, I will cover. Let's do this first. So, what are some friendship misconceptions?
Hmm. So I would say that there's quite a few. One of the top ones is that everybody needs a best friend. That is definitely a misconception. I think that we think because of societal norms that, or how it's portrayed in the media that everybody needs a best friend, but I don't think that's accurate. We can have many different friends, again, all these categories of friends, and feel very fulfilled, right? I think it's really up to perspective, and it depends on that person. So maybe
That's a
someone is
good.
fulfilled by having a best friend, but maybe someone else isn't. Maybe someone else is fulfilled by being their own independent person and feeling like, okay, like I still have my core group of friends, and maybe that's two or three really close friends, and that's all they need to feel fulfilled in their life. We all, again, going back to our life stories, we all have different life stories, life upbringing. So it's going to look different for everybody. And it also depends on the healing journey and growth that people do in their adulthood, because the more work that you do on yourself and the more and you go for yourself, you're going to end up isolating a little bit. And not isolating in the sense of, oh, okay, I don't want to talk to anybody, like where it's unhealthy, but more in the sense of, okay, like let me listen to my intuition and like let me spend a little bit more time getting to know myself. So usually people that have gone on that journey, you know, spiritual or not, but usually they are going to want to protect their energy anyways. So you don't always need a best friend. Another misconception, another large misconception is that straight men and women cannot be friends. That's another misconception. It's possible. I mean, it is very possible for two people of the opposite sex to maintain a platonic friendship. Yes, on the media we see otherwise, but again, the media blows things out of proportion, right? So very possible if people want it to work. Another misconception is that your friends are never going to disappoint you. That is definitely a misconception because we all have our own lives, and it's not that it would be intentional, but we have things going on. And unfortunately, we will not be able to make certain events, or maybe we won't be in the space to provide supportive feedback or, you know, be that support for people. Um, Life happens. We're not always going to be that great friend 100% of the time, right? Another misconception is the more friends, the better. That's not necessarily true. And this is actually something that I feel like I definitely struggled with a little bit because I felt like, okay, I know a lot of people, but I don't really have like a ton of friends. And I used to be like, I want more friends. Like, life will be so much better. But honestly, it will be a lot of energy going out trying to nurture these friendships. So the older I got, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Having like a couple close friends, I feel like is much better than having a lot of different friends where you're having to, you know, expel that energy to nurture and maintain some of those friendships. So you can definitely have a fulfilling life with just a few couple core group of really good friends. True, because we all go through seasons in life. We grow, sometimes we separate,
Wait,
and it
Kiara,
doesn't mean that people weren't a good friend.
it lagged out a bit. So what were you
Oh,
saying?
which part? What did you
Um,
last hear?
before I know that you said that having a bunch of friends isn't always
Hmm.
necessarily, necessary because it
Hmm.
kind of takes up a lot of energy, so on and so forth. And I think I'm assuming based on what you were saying next that you were saying that you have to stay friends with people. I don't
Okay.
know if you were saying that, but
Yeah, so that was the next one. The next misconception was that your friends are going to be forever. That's definitely a misconception because, or that good friends last forever. That's not necessarily true because we all go through different paths in our lives. And just because a friendship ends, it doesn't mean that the friendship wasn't good. It just means that, okay, people went their separate ways, and that's okay too. It doesn't mean that love was lost or that it wasn't a good friendship. It just means that sometimes we have friends for a reason, a season, or for a lifetime.
right, right. And I love that. I love that quote. It's such a quote that we see everywhere, and some people think it's cliche, but I think it says
Hmm.
like I think it's very
Yeah.
true.
Another, I'll go with one more misconception, which is that you need to kind of going back on what you were saying before, but the misconception of needing to tell your friends everything. You don't necessarily, hey, Julia, but you don't necessarily need to tell your friends everything. And I think that also, depending on the friend, is going to depend on what you're going to share with them. And you might have your reasons for not wanting to share.
Right, right. And honestly, I think that as you get older, like friends understand that. Like I stopped getting offended. It's just like some people want to tell some people things, and that's because they're more comfortable. Because I used to do that, where it's like, oh, well, you know what? They didn't tell me that, and it's just like
Mm,
you get in your head. And again, I'm going to go back into this when we talk about kind of anxiety and how it kind of impacts friendship because you are the anxiety expert, and I would definitely love to talk about that because I think it's very relevant, especially in
mm,
friendship. But it
for
comes
sure.
to the whole, am I not a good enough friend that you felt like you couldn't tell me? Like, it's that whole saying of
Mm-hmm.
like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, you know? So
Right.
I think that it has a lot to do with that. And like, you know, it's kind of projecting your own feelings onto another person. It's less about what they did and more about how you feel. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like, okay.
And we also don't necessarily know what the other person's motive is either, or like what's going on in their brain, or even what they're looking for, right?
Right, right, right. It may be advice that if they're good enough friends with you, they know that you couldn't deliver based on them knowing you and what you know and what you've been through. Like, you know, it's just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, this person is kind of better in this arena, so I'm going to ask them, and that's fine. Like, you know?
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
sometimes people don't want to go to the friend that will give them the constructive feedback that they need because they
hmm
want to be coddled or placated or hear what they want to hear, which
Yeah,
might not actually be in their best benefit.
yeah, yeah. And honestly, you have to respect that too, though. I've
Mm-hmm.
learned because I have actually gone on a tangent with one of my friends about, well, I know you told her because you didn't want to hear what I was going to say. Like, you know, like, it's just like, you know what? No, don't do that. This is her choice to say what, you know, to tell who she wants to tell.
Mm-hmm.
If she didn't want to tell you, that's completely fine.
Yeah,
So,
for
yeah.
sure.
And I
Awesome.
wanted to, was there any more misconceptions that you kind of wanted to dig into?
I think that's it. No, those are the main ones. Yeah.
I wanted to get into a question that I had,
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine actually,
Oh,
in
okay.
terms of, well, I know she had to leave for back to school night, but
Mm-hmm.
just kind of what, you know, how can you like restore or keep friendships where you want to tell the truth to the person? Like the person is not good with constructive feedback. You know, they're not good with just hearing the truth, but the truth is important in friendships. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you navigate telling your friend your true, honest opinions and the truth that they may need to hear without losing friends?
About that specific friend, like the
Yeah.
truth about that friend. So that is definitely, that can be a challenge because you're going to have to figure out, are you okay if the friendship potentially ends, right? And if you're not, then perhaps did that, okay, I'm going to do this
We
for
PR, the
their
video
benefit.
lagged out. The last
Okay.
thing I heard was, if you're not,
Okay.
so fast.
If you're not, this is Olivia. If you're not ready for the friendship to end, then it probably wouldn't be in your best interest to say anything. You also have to look at, okay, if I tell them the truth, how likely is it that they are going to make these changes? And then if they don't make those changes, how will that impact the friendship dynamic, right? Like, are you still going to be frustrated or overwhelmed, or is there still going to be like a little bit of a uncomfortability maybe in the friendship dynamic? Or have you come to a place of acceptance where, okay, like, I'm going to share this, hopefully this will help them, and if they don't want to be friends over it, then that's okay. So I think it all boils down to accepting the outcome of telling the truth, also looking at, okay, what is my purpose for telling them this, right? And diving deep into that. So if it really is to benefit and help them, then, go down that path. Like, okay, am I okay losing this friendship because I'm telling the truth? And then you also want to ask, okay, even if I do tell the truth and they don't want to be my friend anymore, how, and not to say how valuable was this friendship, but you also want people that are, you want to surround yourself with people that are in a place where they want to grow too, because that is a recipe for outgrowing friendships. When you're doing the work and when you have a friend that's still kind of in that situation where it's like, what it is that they need to do, or like, that they could use this feedback. And it really boils down to, okay, how is this going to shift things in our friendship?
Right. How is this going to change things? But I really, really, really got you, or really resonated with what you said in terms of like how important with a friendship is, you know, what I'm saying is for growth.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm using the right tone because tone is everything. How you say things are really,
It
really
is.
important sometimes more than what you say. And so I'm saying it in a way that I know that you'll receive it. I'm not coming from a malicious place. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, but if you didn't want to receive it because you weren't ready to grow or you weren't ready for that truth, it's just like, all right, well, like, how upset am I that the friendship is lost? You know?
Right. And also taking into consideration, like, how are you going, if you are going to share with your friend, some truth that you want to share with them, how are you going to relay this message, right? So if it's through text message, a lot of things can be misread or misinterpreted or, overanalyzed like our anxiety people. So it might be best to maybe have a phone conversation or an in-person conversation or even sending a voice note if you have that option, because then people can really tell what kind of place you're coming from in a voice note, right? They
Right.
can tell by your tone of voice.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think in-person meetings if you can, or like,
Mm-hmm.
face to face, if you can do FaceTime, like you said, voice notes, that's really important because tone and diction when you're saying things can make all the difference. So how somebody's
Right,
going to receive it. So yeah.
right. And I'm not out here just saying like, oh, drop your friends if they're not growing. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is really consider like, what is the impact of this friendship on you? So if your friend, isn't growing in the direction that you want them to, how much of an impact is that having on you? So if it's a negative impact, you're then that's going to impact a friendship. So is it even worthwhile continuing, right? Because your goal is to benefit your friends. But if they're not in a position to accept, then are you going to be okay with things still going the same direction that it is? So that's just a
Right.
personal decision that someone's going to have to make for themselves.
Right. And so I didn't have any more questions. Does anybody
Okay.
else have any questions or anything you wanted to add, Kiara, before we kind of end this first series of live?
I don't think I have anything else. I think we just wanted to jumpstart this to talk about the basics of friendships, to talk about the different categories of friendships, why you should categorize your friends. And I don't think I actually said why, but for us, and also so that we're
The
able
Kiara, the video
to,
lagged out again
oh,
after you said why.
okay. So yeah, reasons why we want to be able to categorize our friendships is because we want to know what friends are going to serve what purpose, so that you're not frustrated, and so, well, we don't know if your other friends are going to be frustrated, but more so for you, are you going to be frustrated, and so that you're able to protect your own energy too. So maybe there's a couple friends that you go to and you tell them certain things. Well, which friends are those, right? So that you're not telling everybody. So I would really take a little bit of time to go through your friends list and see what category you can put them in. And they might fit a couple different categories. That's fine. But just so that you have a layout of, okay, these are my friends. This is the purpose that they serve. And so that you have a clearer picture as to how you're going to navigate your friendships. And then we can share a little bit about what we plan to talk about over the next couple weeks and our continued series.
Yes. Absolutely. So our series on, the challenges of adult female friendships and, how mental health impacts them, right? So on our next series, we really want to get into attachment styles, right? And how they impact female friendships in adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be really important, right? Because how we grew up impacts how we navigate relationships, right? And
Exactly.
friendships, all of those things. So that's going to be really, really important. We're also going
Exactly.
to discuss boundaries and expectations. I don't know how many people actually set boundaries and expectations. I know it's becoming, more prevalent now that we see it and we're going to therapy and counseling and we're hearing about it
Mm-hmm.
more. But I think for the longest time, a lot of us were willing to just like, jump at whatever our friend needed or whatever they needed us to do. And I think that that's important. That's one I'm really excited about as well. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And if anybody is interested in any kind of like self-healing modalities or anything like that, How to Do the Work by the Holistic Psychologist on Instagram, also known as Dr. Nicole LaPera. She has a really great book out
I
called
love
How to
her
Do the
so
Work.
much.
Yeah, her book is great. She's got activities in each chapter that really help you look at childhood trauma archetypes. It helps you go through guided journal prompts, meditations, regulating your nervous system, and all that good stuff. So, if you've got the resources, I would encourage you to get the book and start doing some of the exercises. But attachment styles is definitely key to any relationship that you have, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendships, whether it's work relationships, any kind of relationships. Attachment styles is definitely key. So I'm excited to talk a bit about that next time.
Right, right, right. We're going to also get into at some point location and
Mm-hmm.
interests slash lifestyles changing over time, right? A lot of us have made a lot of our friends in college, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we were central to that area, and maybe we've moved out of that area, or lifestyles have changed, and it's just like, oh my gosh, how do I hold on to my college friends? I love them so much, like, but things are
Mm-hmm.
changing. What do I do? How does this happen? Is this okay that people are falling out? And what do you do if you don't want to, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
last but not least, what does healthy slash unhealthy friendship look like? We're definitely going to get into that because that's extremely important, even as
Mm-hmm.
important as us identifying what friendship was, right? What it is.
Exactly.
And so, yes. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Miss Kiara, thank you for your expertise
Of
with
course.
your amazing years of therapy. Please follow her, guys. Anybody who
Absolutely.
is not following her, please follow her. She posts amazing content all the time, and it is
Thank
extremely helpful.
you. Thank you. Just real quick though, did anybody have any questions or comments based on anything that we've shared today already? I see my mom joined the live
Oh
and
my gosh,
somebody
hello.
from Chicago, Jet
Yes,
Set
I know.
Victoria. Awesome. Any questions or comments that you guys have before we end our live today?
Anybody?
I realized that people couldn't actually like voice record, so maybe they're typing a comment. Possibly.
Right, right.
Let's see. Okay. I have not had any come in. So, wait, do we have a time that we're meeting next time?
Actually, no, we have to
Okay.
discuss what time. We actually have to discuss
Okay.
the date and the time, whatever works
Okay.
best for us. But
Sounds good.
Wednesdays at 6:30 work best for me if they work for you. But
Yeah.
let's really get together and like navigate our schedules because things pop. Yeah, it
Okay.
just
Here we
lagged
go.
out,
Well,
Kiara.
again, thank you guys for tuning. Oh, okay. Are we back now?
Yes, we're back. We're back.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in. And yeah,
Yes.
follow Kayla as well at her rough
Yes.
draft.
Please,
She
please,
posts
please.
really great content as well. And we will post again when we expect to do our next live. And we hope that you guys join us then.
Yes. And we'll see you guys next time.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye. Don't forget to download it.
Yes, I will.
Okay.